In today's news, with a predicted $97 trillion worth of capital coming to crypto fairly soon, in my opinion, not financial advice of course, a $170 XRP is all but inevitable. For the first time in over 12 years of XRP's history, we are about to witness over 6.5 million holders, which is very impressive, but the scary part here is there are over 8 billion people on this earth. In the future to be, everybody will have access to XRP, proof once more just how early we truly are. The next wave of disruption is almost upon us. The XRP floodgates are about to open. Institutionalized capital and adoption will start flooding in very quickly in just 5 days time and then continue to accelerate from there. And if you don't want to miss out on the incoming opportunities, to come learn much more here in the VIP group at wap.com/coin factory. From institutional alpha research documents, educational courses, buy and sell alerts, and so much more. Check it all out for 7 days free as well. The link is down below in the description, and I hope to see you all there before time runs out. So switching gears, in case you have forgotten, in just 5 days time, on May 19th, we will witness XRP Futures going live with CME Group, which is very big news. XRP will be officially trading on the derivatives market, a market that XRP alongside their partner ISDA could handle $1.2 quadrillion worth of transactions. So XRP is about to properly tap into institutional capital for the first time, I'd say. And as we can see from Cyprus here, XRP ETF launch May 19th. Don't expect price action overnight, but over time, this opens the doors, the floodgates if you will, for huge liquidity flows into XRP. Listen closely here.
Now, we have Solana, XRP, Litecoin, and a variety, Dogecoin, and a variety of others. I think those are the main ones that have true 33x spot Bitcoin ETFs ready. And then there's some futures-based products. But in order to really have a nice ecosystem, you need futures. So where are we at with the Altcoin Futures? And how, are the issuers leaning on you to get them out so they can roll their products out?
No, it's a great question. I think, for us, we in addition to futures and options, we also have a family of reference rates covering 24 different coins and tokens, right? So we have these reference rates, and all our products are cash settled. So theoretically, the plan is that we would eventually look to hopefully launch futures on those reference rates. But before we do that, we really do need that regulatory clarity, right? So we need to know that these underlyings are considered commodities, because we're regulated by the CFTC. CFTC regulates commodity products. So we got some of that clarity, or more rather say regulatory comfort earlier this year with some of the changes in the U.S. administration, some of the changes that we're seeing on the regulatory level, some of the cases that have been dropped against some prominent firms. So that gave us some comfort around Solana, also gave us some comfort around XRP. I think when you look at those, and XRP incidentally goes live on May 19th, when you look at those four, Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, XRP, taking out meme coins, taking out stable coins, that's covering roughly about 85% or so of the market capitalization of cryptocurrencies.
This is a game changer, game-changing stuff, and an early warning sign to how much money, more money, will flow into XRP. But that's just it, isn't it? It won't happen overnight, it will be slow, then accelerate, and then it will be sudden. And the good news here for us XRP holders is this acceleration is already taking place. The OCC recently green-lighted crypto services for all banks in the United States, which is huge for crypto and in particular XRP adoption. Why? Because we've seen in recent sources smart money are allocating their capital into Bitcoin right now, but the runner-up behind Bitcoin for the time being is XRP. As XRP has the technological advantage with Ripple, they have Ripple to support it, they are supporting the financial rails coming to crypto right now, thus XRP's value is incalculable. So XRP can and will only go up from here. Furthermore, the institutionalized adoption is only going to continue growing more and more, and Coinbase will be a huge help at that as well, as they recently listed their dollar coin to the S&P 500 and they will be launching CBXRP very, very soon. The adoption starts in 5 days time and the acceleration is already starting. The next wave of disruption is almost upon us, which the global head of digital assets at Goldman Sachs explains in this panel here. Once more, listen very, very closely. It's important stuff.
On that point, where do you see the biggest short-term impact for blockchain in traditional finance, and what is that next wave of disruption going to look like?
Well, I mean, for kind of the US, I think the stablecoin bills that have gone through, the two different houses, I think, will have a pretty profound impact. Many have talked about stablecoins being the kind of killer app, but I think if the regulations allow this to be something that can be easily and efficiently adopted by financial institutions, that's something that you may see, kind of more actively used. So it accelerates the use of digital currency for the big players. And I think that, to me, is something that is super exciting and something we're obviously watching very closely. I think more broadly, there's the market kind of infrastructure bill that's kind of been focused on towards the end of the year. So kind of institutions like us, permissibility is kind of key. So that ability to, be able to potentially trade, kind of, or at least use stable coins and then touch the underlying on balance sheet, have that permissibility to do that. So I think there's kind of two kind of key steps there, just the way that they're kind of the administration's sequencing it, but I think both are exciting.
What do you think it's going to mean for financial markets and financial services?
I think it's a really good question, and I think when you think about what is the driver for us investing and spending time, in that part of our business, I think kind of resilience is kind of key. You just look at kind of a lot of the way the markets operate today. There's very strict kind of cut-off times. This ability to actually kind of execute transactions when you need them to happen to the minute, hugely powerful, particularly in the context of intraday. So I think that's kind of resiliency. I also think risk. We've kind of talked, this is kind of key. Risk, when you look at kind of collateral markets, there's a lot of kind of embedded risk that sits in those. This technology allows you to reduce significantly a lot of that. And, that can be through just more seamless allocation of collateral, be that money market fund tokens, for example, or tokenized treasuries. And you can do that with a T+0 pricing. A lot of today's derivatives and other kind of financial instruments are collateralized with products where the pricing is probably T+1, T+2. So you need to hold kind of bigger buffers to obviously kind of, manage that risk. This ability to be more seamless with the allocation of collateral becomes very powerful. And then I think, the other one is transparency. As we look to kind of, looking at the speakers, the next few days, you've got a lot of the buy side, and there's a big focus kind of on, private funds and a whole slew of other different types of funds. And that is super interesting because if you can tokenize and really kind of scale, that marketplace, that really opens up a new investor base and the ability to kind of airdrop data and things. People can all seamlessly get real-time data, which, just isn't as efficient, today in many different markets. And then you can probably see how that can start to be traded more actively. So I think there are a number of different things there, but there's a lot of exciting development.
So now we've heard that effectively the second wave of institutional adoption is coming and it is not far off, and right now XRP is shining brighter than any other cryptocurrency. XRP will receive a large majority of its incoming capital as XRP is breaking the trend. As we can see in this document, once more it highlights that all altcoins fall in value except XRP, proving XRP is decoupling from the market slowly but surely. Now it's difficult to really put a price on XRP and where it should be now and even in the future because, again, it's their technology. Ripple is their advantage, their reach they have that gives them a lot of unrealized potential. We can see here from Mr. Man XRP, for example, Bhutan is now accepting Bitcoin and other crypto for all tourism payments, and this is possible because they are using XRP Ledger Rails. We are in such a unique position right now of early adoption here before institutions, and in the words of Raoul Pal here, this financial shift that we are about to witness over the next 10 years or so will see $97 trillion worth of wealth that is going to be made. We're going to see a $100 trillion market cap in crypto, and we are here at 3 right now. We are early. More's coming. Listen very closely right here.
This is the big one. This is your chance to make wealth. And not only can you make a bit of wealth, it's the fastest appreciating asset class in all of human history. So you can catch up really fast. So you just have to get involved and start that journey, but it will level the playing field for millions of people. So my view is it goes from a $3 trillion asset class today to $100 trillion in 10 years' time. So we're only 3% of the way there. And if you put it in different terms, that means there is $97 trillion of wealth that's going to get made.
Yeah.
People are going to make a lot of money, but it's not a few people. It's not like the tech barons or the bankers. This is like, well, Binance has 260 million customers. Now, you could lift 260 million people to change their lives. Okay, that's a big deal. There's 500 million crypto accounts around the world, so you can change 500 million lives. And if you speak to CZ or you speak to the others, they'll say, we want to have 1 billion people, 2 billion people. Well, if you can change 2 billion people's lives, that's a quarter of the world. So it's a very, very big deal. And also it's a big deal because people are getting access to dollars. So the stablecoin thing, I asked CZ about this. I'm like, well, what about stablecoins? He said, I didn't see how big they were going to be. He didn't realize, and most of us didn't realize, how desperate people are to own US dollars.
Yeah.
And so before, to get access to dollars, you had to have access to a big bank, and or you could get a small amount of dollars. But normal people couldn't save in it. And somebody in Southeast Asia, they couldn't get access to dollars. And now suddenly they can get it on their Binance app immediately and send it to somebody else, US dollars. That's an incredible change for people. So there's some really big things happening that really changed the world for a lot of people.
Now, this is important because it paints a picture of just how lucky we are. The fact that we got here headed institutions right now, and why I believe that $170 XRP is all but inevitable. Should we take XRP's circulating supply, which is 58.5 billion, right? And we divide it by $100 trillion market cap right here, we can see that XRP should be valued at around $1,709, although that is assuming XRP will take over all of the crypto market cap in 10 years, which is unrealistic. Of course, there's going to be multiple other assets out there. XRP is the biggest, but not the only one. So to be very generous, let's say XRP only receives 10% of that $100 trillion market cap. Therefore, divide this by 10, XRP will be valued at the bare minimum, in my belief, $170. That's it. And that's not even taking into account the extra financial elements that will make market cap obsolete. Tokenization of stocks, bonds, real estate, and debt on the XRP ledger. XRP being used as a gas fee for the $1.2 quadrillion derivatives market, and for cross-border payments with RLUSD being used for the trade currency, XRP being the gas fee again. $170 XRP for me is inevitable. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research, of course, but I can say for sure now is the time to lock in. 5 days until the beginning of the end for XRP. And if you want to learn much more, then come check out the VIP group. And as always, don't look short term, think long term. And I'll see you in the next one.